All right, so for the next couple minutes, I just need you to follow this bell right here. Fill in all of our box charts, all of our regular AR, ER, IR, and subject pronouns. We've been working with these for the past couple weeks, so they should seem familiar. I'll give you guys 3 minutes to work on it. Once those 3 minutes are up, I'll call on one of you and you can fill in any box you want. We'll go box by box, and then once we get through everybody, then we'll fill in the whole thing. I got you. Yep.
For all of them?
No. That's the meantime. All right, we've got about, let's see, minute and a half left. And remember, these box charts aren't going away. They're going to be on every single quiz. Yeah. It's not a particular class, it's just kind of like intermittent through all of them. There's like 1 or 2 kids that still can't get a subject. What? Yeah. Either an accent mark or just completely whipping on all of it. Yeah. Yeah, we're just going to do 1 box at a time until everyone's gone through, and then whoever wants to fill in the rest can fill in the rest. Yeah. Yep. It's good to me. Give me a couple minutes once we get started. Like, get past all the minutes. All right, so you want to fill in the box? Actually, let's speed things up. Just fill it in across all. Yep. There you go. And if you want to choose another color, just color color. Do you want to get next? There you go. Okay. Yeah. Yep. After May, after Devin, do you want to go? Okay. Okay. You can go up 100%. Yeah, you can pick any color you want. Good? Good? Man, that dotted line is going to be really confusing.
I don't know.
That's all right. I'll rewrite it.
Did you say that you would regret it?
No, I'll rewrite it.
Oh, that looks so uneven. It would look like work.
You gonna say something for anybody else? Yeah.
I mean, I'm not the last one, right?
Oh, you're fine. All right. So.
You forgot one.
Oh.
It just looks like school.
I'm the travel part with you guys. Don't pay attention.
Oh, don't do that. Oh, come on. I told you.
Okay, it's fine.
Don't ever learn that one. Don't use that one. All right.
You guys are like, what is
I think I
that?
got the
What did he just?
Okay. So we've got. Let's start with our subjects. So we've got yo, two, L, ea, usted. Make sure we have that accent mark over the e and l. Because every single time that somebody does that on a quiz, my blood boils a little bit more. So make sure that we have that accent mark over L. Nosotros, ustedes, ellos, and ellas. And I'll rewrite this in a second after.
I mean, it looks good. You know.
Are you defending this? Are you saying it's legible?
Okay.
It is very legible.
All right, so our AR. O, as, a, amos, an, good. O, ace, a, amos, and aim, good. And IR, O, ace, a, emos, and aim. So all of our box charts are good. Good job, guys. Now, with our IR box chart, why do we have that boot drawn around it? What's the difference between inside and outside the boot? Devin. Not that different.
On the inside of the boot is all basically ER conjugations, and on the outside is I conjugation.
Good. So everything on the inside of this boot is ER. Everything outside of it is essentially IR. Yeah.
Okay. So that includes the spot that has the X on it, right?
Yeah. So if we have these, like Victor was so enthusiastic about writing, I told you guys that we don't need to learn these. So if this were here, it would just be I with an accent mark, S. East. But because it's not part of our dialect, and because we're never going to get Nosotros on test, I figured it's just easier for you to draw an X.
It's Spain Spanish.
So, what we're learning today are stem changing verbs. So normally when we conjugate a verb, we use these box charts to just change the AR, ER, and IR endings based on our subjects when we can read them. So, with stem changing, we have to change a little bit more now. Not only do we have to change the ending, the AR, ER, and IR, we also have to change the stem along with it. The stem is any part of the verb before the AR, ER, and IR. So I give the examples of vivir, comer, and let's do caminar. So all three of these, different categories of verbs. With the stem and with the ending, it doesn't matter what the ending is. As the ending is the last two letters of the verb, or at least the infinitive of the verb. So if we're going to draw an imaginary line before those last two letters, for vivir, where are we going to draw it? In between what two letters? Good. The V and the I. If we're going to do it for comer, where are we going to put it? What? The M and the E. And if I'm going to do it for caminar, where am I going to put it, Josh?
The N and the A.
Good. So each of these are the stem of the word. What the endings do, and why we change them, is to reflect who or what is doing the verb. That's where the subject pronouns come in. These are kind of all-encompassing for every situation. Every possible conjugation is going to reference back to these boxes. I, you, him, her, or any one thing that we're talking about, a desk, the president, whatever. Nosotros is we, so you, and whatever group you're with. And then ustedes, ellos, and ellas cover any multiple things that we're talking about. So multiple people, multiple animals, multiple things, multiple planets, whatever you're talking about. So with stem changes, we now have to change the beginning of the word along with our conjugation. We still use those box charts. We still change these based on the subject that's doing them. But now, we have to change the beginning too. So there's 3 kinds of categories for stem changes in this chapter. Our first is you to UE. So when we conjugate these verbs, not only do we have to change the end, we have to change that beginning. The beginning letter that you have to change is this U. So whenever we conjugate it, we have to change the stem. But we don't always do it. There are exceptions to when we conjugate the stem. So you see this boot that we were talking about earlier? The one that contains the ER endings? We now have to imagine that that boot is around all of these box charts.
Can we the fourth boxes?
You'll still have to use the 4th boxes, but you don't stem change when you conjugate to them.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to.
Yes. So, can you turn around to your... So inside these boxes is when we have the stem change. If our subject is inside this box, our endings have to match. And so we have the stem change when that happens. So for Hugar, where does our stem end?
Between G and A.
Between the G and the A. Good. So our stem ends right before our ending. So which U do we have to change? It's only one U. So you're going to change this U right here. So when we conjugate this, if our ending is inside that boot, then we have to change that U to a UE. So I give yo as an example. And we have to conjugate that. For our subjects, is yo inside that boot?
Yes.
And because Hugar is an AR verb, we have to use our AR endings, right? Is our ending inside that boot? So if both of those are inside the boot, we have to conjugate. And we have the stem change too. So Hugar is going to change from what we would normally conjugate to Hugo to Juego. J-U-E G-O. So our U becomes U-E. Our AR still conjugates the exact same way as we've been doing. Our next category, O to UE. Same exact process. So, where's our stem end? Right there. Where's our stem end?
Between L and V.
Good. Well, L and V?
I'm sorry, V and E.
V and E. Good. You got me for a second. So, because our stem ends there, that's where we have to make our change. So if I give the subject ella for volver, is ella in our boot? It is if you can read it.
I mean, it is right there.
So ella's in our boot, and because volver is an ER verb, which do we use?
The ER.
Our ER box chart. We match these boxes, and so we have our ending. And because it's on boot, we have to change this O to UE. So volver is going to change to what? Vuelve. Good. V-U-E L-V-E. Our stem change, our conjugation. And then our last category is E to IE. Same exact rules. So where does our stem end? Ned. Where does our stem end for pray right here?
Between R and I.
Between the R and the I. Okay. So here's our stem. Now, which E do we choose? Because there are some verbs with multiple E's in there. Which E do you think it is?
That was the last one, right?
Last one?
Yeah.
Good. So if there are multiple E's in here, you always default to the one closest to the ending. Always the last one. So, pray for ear, we have our ear. Now if I ask you to do nosotros as our conjugation for pray for ear, is nosotros inside of our boot?
No.
No. No, it's not. So when it's outside of the boot, it's just a normal conjugation. So pray for ear, what type of verb is pray for ear? What ending does it have? IR. So we have our IR endings. So we know that IR goes to emos, these matches with the nosotros box. So what's pray for ear going to conjugate to? Josh.
Preferimos.
Pray for emos. Good. P R E F E R I M O S. No stem change. If it's outside the boot, you don't stem change. Are there any questions on stem changing so far? No? Alright, so I'm going to hand you guys a worksheet, and I want you to do a couple practice ones. All these words are inside of our vocab of this chapter. If you have any questions, feel free to ask.